All right, we're back. Episode 6. It's been only 3 days since episode 5, but this time I'm in a better mood. I've gotten over that Brentford game, and I've got a lot to talk about today. So hopefully, you guys can just sit back, relax, hang out, and stay with me here while we cover a lot of topics. The list of topics is we're going to go a little bit over our history of negotiations with Manchester United and how we're going to have to try to change that paradigm. We're going to talk about the debacle between, not having a technical director or a sporting director right now and what that may lead to or where this may take us for this summer. We are going to talk about what kind of players need to be coming in, what kind of players we need to be looking at, what kind of players we need to be trying to move on, and if that's even possible. We're going to talk about um, different positions in the team and what we probably are looking for. And if you don't agree with me, always leave a comment. I love to read comments and see if you guys agree or not. Also, you can find me on X, and I'll try to post my X handle somewhere down here right now. And get at me. So first, let's talk about our history and how we tend to overpay for everything, and every team knows that. So every time Manchester United comes calling looking for anything, they try to charge us or ask of us millions and millions of dollars more than they would ask of any other team. Can you blame them? No, because we end up paying what they ask. So this time around, when Newcastle is demanding, I don't know, something like £20 million for Dan Ashworth, and I don't know what Southampton wants for Jason Wilcox, but I know we made an offer and somehow it wasn't good enough, and it was like a year's salary, but that wasn't good enough. They want way more than that. This is basically a part of the same culture, the same virus that we've been cultivating, of where people can ask anything they want of us and then we give in and give them whatever they want. So I hope Ineos does not back down. I hope they don't pay Newcastle anywhere near 20 million. I think it should be like 4 or 5 million, and that's it for Dan Ashworth. But actually, I just hope they don't even compromise and pay 10. Like, I just, the culture and the mentality is not going to change if we keep doing the same things. And I know some people will say, just pay whatever it is. He's a sporting director. If he's actually as good as we say he is, then he can end up saving us 20 million in the summer. No, he's not. He's not going to save you 20 million this summer. It's almost impossible. No one's that good. No one is. No one's going to come in and 2 months later produce that kind of work. That he may save us 20 million in 3 years, summer after summer, or transfer window after transfer window. He's not going to save you 20 million in 2 months. No one's that good. If he was that good, we would already paid the 20 million. He can't just come in and go, I'm here. Harry Maguire sold. Scott McTominay sold for 60 million. He's not that good. No one is. So we shouldn't pay it. We should keep negotiating as we are. We should keep playing hardball. We shouldn't just give in to their demands, because that's going to set up the whole attitude for the rest of the summer and for the rest of the Ineos reign. If you really think about it, it's not just this summer. People are going to know moving forward that they are not negotiating with people who are just going to be walked all over moving forward. This isn't the old Manchester United. At least I hope it's not. And Jason Wilcox, same thing. If we offered, I don't know, whatever it is, we offered some small, 2, 3, 400,000 to a champion, to Southampton. They should just take it. And if they don't want to take it, then we just move on without them for a while, because something has to be done, and we can't be in desperation mode. We've always been in desperation mode, and that's when we just start forking out money. We have to get out of this desperation mode kind of mentality. Also, summer's only 2 months away. How much can they actually do if they come in now? And what they can do, they can probably do in secret from home on gardening leave. They can probably get the word out that, like, Dan Ashworth can let it be known that he likes Bremer from Juventus as a center back, and that's who he hopes we go out for, which basically means go get him. They can do little things like that from home and still let us start to change our reputation so that we are not known as suckers who'll pay anything. Um, Now, what worries me is, will we make big squad decisions if they don't join in the next 2 months? If we have to go into the summer without Dan Ashworth or Jason Wilcox, which I don't think will be the case. I think Jason Wilcox will be handled. I think he'll probably join for less than £1 million, and Southampton will let him go, and he'll be able to just start work right immediately. But even if we don't, we have our secret weapon. We have a man who's joining in June for sure, who is more than qualified to negotiate, and that's Omar Barada. So we do have the person who's more than qualified to negotiate, more than qualified to say, yeah, we'll pay that, or no, we won't pay that. In Omar Barada, this man has a lot of experience in bringing money in, and also in it being around these kind of deals or negotiations, if not even heading them. So we're more than covered in that aspect. But are we covered in the aspect of Omar Barada is not going to make decisions as to who to buy? That's not his forte. That's not his job. So without Dan Ashworth or Jason Wilcox, are we going to be ready to make big squad decisions, as in who to let go and who to bring in? Can we even sell players on big wages? Is that even a thing? Like, even if Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox joined, could we get rid of players on big wages like Jadon Sancho? If we're keeping Eric Ten Hag, Jadon Sancho is not playing for this team. So are we going to be able to get rid of him, or are we looking at another loan, which is a failure? If he goes on loan again, we make no money from this big investment that basically we're just flushing down the drain. So are we going to be able to even get rid of players on big wages? Do we want Harry Maguire, who's someone on big wages, to stay, to just come off the bench because that's all he's going to do? I like Harry Maguire. I have no problems with Harry Maguire, but I think he is getting older and he is probably not suited to play the kind of football that Ten Hag wants to play moving forward, as we know. So are we going to be able to move him on? Or are we just going to keep an expensive center back that comes off the bench? Again, these are all questions that need answering. These are all things that I'm trying to figure out, and I'm trying to wrap my head around and see, is there a solution here? What do you guys think? Again, get at me. Let me know what you guys think. I know you want him gone, but business-wise, is there a buyer out there? Is Harry willing to go, or is Harry going to say, well, no, I'll stay and fight for my place? Where it's like, no, man, don't stay and fight for your place. Go, thank you for your service, and go find somewhere where you're actually playing and where your style of place is suited. The kind of players we're looking for can run more, can cover more distance, and can can play a high line without leaving a big gap behind them that they have to worry about because they're kind of slow. And that's not Harry Maguire. And then will we be able to buy a brand new defense if we don't have a Dan Ashworth or Jason Wilcox in on time, or even just Jason Wilcox? Even if we had both, are we going to be able to buy a whole back four? Because that's what's needed. Think about it. We need a left back because our two main left backs were injured all year this year. So we need to get a left back. We need two center backs because, again, our two main center backs are injured. And also one of them is rumored to be leaving in Varane. So Lisandro Martinez is our one main center back. We don't have another one. So we need two main center backs. And with that said, we probably need to sell one or two center backs. Varane's leaving. So we could probably just sell either Lindelof or Maguire. Are we going to be able to do that? Are we? Who's going to buy? Will Benfica take Lindelof back? Maybe that would open up the possibility of bringing Antonio Silva in, or Joao Neves, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And we need a right back if Aaron Wan-Bissaka is really not Eric Ten Hag's cup of tea. If he's not, there's a lot of rumors out there about Frimpong. So why are there so many rumors about Frimpong if we're not looking at a right back? I don't know. I don't think we can get a right back unless Aaron Wan-Bissaka leaves, which is the same thing we heard last summer. If you can rewind back to last summer, we were talking about if we can get Crystal Palace to take Aaron Wan-Bissaka, then we're looking for a right back. It didn't happen. We didn't get a new right back, right? We kept Wan-Bissaka. Is there actually going to be big changes this summer, or is this going to be a lame summer because we don't have Dan Ashworth and Jason Wilcox in on time to plan for big moves? Also, if they were in on time, does this have to be a lame summer anyway, just so we can run down some of these contracts of people we're trying to get rid of, like Lindelof, like Maguire? One more year off their contracts means maybe it's easier to get rid of them next summer. I don't know. What do you think? Does anybody out there know how many more years Maguire has? I know it's more than one. I know it's like 2 or 3. Is this the summer where we finally fix our midfield? We've been talking about the midfield for, oh my gosh, since McFred days. So 4 seasons, 5 seasons. I don't know. We've been talking about the midfield since Matic left. When did Matic leave? But even when Matic was here, he wasn't young enough to really play every game. So we've been talking about a strong midfielder like Casemiro for a long time, but Cas is old. Cas doesn't have the legs anymore. You can tell, and he's been making errors. I love Casemiro too. But it's time to move him on and get someone younger. And this is where the Joao Neves conversation gets really interesting. I really like Joao Neves. That man has legs for days. That man can run. He's got stamina like crazy. He loves to just get right in there and win the ball back. I love players like that. We haven't had a player like that in years, where they just love to chase the ball and win it back like Conte did in his prime. And that's what Joao Neves offers. He offers high work rate. Just if you like to press, that's a kid that can press all day long. And after he wins the ball back, he also has a pass on him, which Conte didn't really have. This kid can pass too. This kid can dribble a little bit. But it's 100 million euros. So I don't know if that's actually possible with our budget. Depends, I guess, if Cas goes to Saudi and we get some money for him. Maybe. If Cas can bring us... Saudi pays big, so if Cas can bring us 40 or 50 million, that's half of Joao Neves' money. I think it's totally worth it, because I think that kid can offer any team a good 8 years of high work rate in the midfield, and we need it. What else? Oh, I read this thing in Sport Bible where it says, what's his name? Sir Jim Ratcliffe likes Scott McTominay and wants to offer him a contract extension or a new deal and double his wages. And when you read that, you just go, does Sport Bible know how the fan base feels about McTominay? And is that why they write these kind of things, so we can stress out and want to click on it? Or is this real? And I think it might actually be real. McTominay is one of those things where the fan base doesn't get it, but every manager that comes in just keeps picking him, right? And yeah, he scored some goals this year. Well, I think it's 7 goals, but come on, the guy, he's a confusing player. He's not a midfielder. You can't tell me he's a midfielder. His positioning is awful in the midfield. His positioning in the box or in and around the box is actually pretty good. But his positioning in the midfield is awful. His first touch is horrendous, and his passing capabilities are limited. He's all heart, he's height, he's strength, he's all that. And I've said it in past videos, but no, he's not a Manchester United championship caliber player. Scott McTominay is not a starter on a winning team. He's just not. And when you think of I'm just going to say Manchester City, even though it hurts me to say it. When you think of Manchester City, they have 2 starting squads, really. That whole bench is good enough to win a game on their own without a single one of their starting 11. You could put that whole bench on the pitch, get rid of the starting 11, and if they played every game with their bench players, their second string, if you will, they would finish in the top 6. Maybe not top 4, but they would finish in the top 6 with their bench. McTominay doesn't guarantee top 6. I'm sorry. He just doesn't. Top 10? He's not bad. Like he's not relegation, but he's not top 4. So McTominay, that's worrying to read that Sir Jim Ratcliffe likes McTominay and wants to offer double his wages and keep him around for more. That's pretty worrying. What do you guys think? Let me know. Am I crazy? Like, do you guys does anybody out there actually think he's the answer and he's somebody that needs to be starting every game? That would be interesting. I want to meet that guy. If one of you guys out there thinks he's a player who should be playing every game, please send me a message. Let's talk about this. Why? What do you see? What am I missing? And then we need a backup striker. We need a backup striker because, again, this is another one of those problems we had for years and years of not having a pure striker. We loaned out the big guy from Holland last season. God, I'm bad with names, so you guys are going to have to get used to me just describing people. Because Martial was injured all the time. And now we got Højlund. I love Højlund, but we need someone to back him up for when he can't play or when he needs a rest. So we need a backup forward. We need 4 positions in the back 4, the whole back 4. We need a midfielder. Those are 6 positions we vitally need. Like there is no, oh, maybe no, we need these positions. Like these positions need to be there. And that doesn't even guarantee winning any trophies. That just guarantees we are good enough to fight for top 4 next season without doing it the way we're doing it now, which is literally not being able to take a single game to relax. We have to win every single game and we might finish top 5. Maybe. So we need these 6 pieces just to kind of feel like we can guarantee top 4. 6. And none of these can be free signings or loans because they don't work. They've never worked. Every time we've done it, it hasn't worked. So we need 6 pieces that we've done data collection on, we've done proper recruiting, and we're going to spend money on. These people are going to have to be important players, so they can't be, they can't be cheap. What do you guys think? Is that even possible? With the way things are going right now, with Dan Ashworth, Jason Wilcox sitting out, are we going to be able to sell? We're going to need to sell at least 3 if we're buying 6 important players. If we can't sell Mason Greenwood, Jadon Sancho, and one more, if we can't sell these 3 players for 30, 40 million each, then we're only going to be able to afford 3. We need to sell 3 to be able to buy another 3. And each player needs to be right around that 50 million range. And again, that's why I think I didn't even say Casemiro in that 3. So I guess it could be Jadon Sancho, Mason Greenwood, and Casemiro. And each one has to go for 40 mil. It's going to be tricky with Casemiro. It has to be Saudi club, and he's got to be willing to go. Which I don't think he'll be willing to go, but who knows? Are we going to be able to pull it off? And all of it is going to be on my favorite person. My new favorite person. My new favorite person who's definitely joining the team in June. Someone who's definitely a winner is coming to our team this summer. He's been around and seen what a winning team looks like. He's been around and seen what a winning culture and a winning setup looks like in both Spain and in England, and that's Omar Barada. And my favorite part about Omar Barada is that he looks just like Lewis Litt. And nobody fucks with Lewis Litt. I love that guy.
Oh, I see, now you're asking to get lit up. Somebody wants to get lit up.
Oh, you're going to see a lot of Lewis Litt on this channel. But Omar Barada looks just like him. And Omar Barada is got the negotiation skills that, from what I hear, from what I read, and I've done a lot of research, I've watched a bunch of his interviews. He's done a lot of, if you guys go on YouTube, there's a lot of videos of Omar Barada talking. So you can get to see what his personality is like and what his mindset is. And he's actually seems to be a super intelligent guy who basically says it how it is, and has a lot of that whole, if the deal doesn't work out for us and if it's not the right deal, then we're just going to walk away. And I love that. I love that because that tells me that they're not always just going to go, hey, this is a guy we want, and we're going to sit there and chase him and chase him and chase him like we always do, and then either end up paying way more than we should to get him, or we end up just wasting all that time chasing him like De Jong and not getting him at all. This guy, I think, is going to walk in to a negotiation and say things like, well, here's how much we can pay, and this is why we think this person is worth that much, and here is the data, and this is what people of his ilk usually sell for. We're willing to pay $5 million more because we're Manchester United, so this is how much we're willing to pay, yes or no? And well, no, we think you should pay $25 million more. He's like, well, sorry, I guess you don't want to make a deal, and we're going to have to move on to the next guy on our list. Thank you very much for your time. We'll talk to you again next season if there's another player that we're interested in. And he walks right out the door. Now, the next time he walks back in the door a season or two later to offer money for another one of the team's players, there is no way they're going to ask for $25 million more, right? They're going to go, this guy doesn't fuck around. This guy says exactly, like, he speaks logic. He speaks, I think this is the best addition we've ever made to Manchester United. Omar Barada is going to be such a big deal. Such a big deal. Way bigger than Dan Ashworth. Dan Ashworth hasn't won a thing. He's got a great reputation, but he's never won a thing. Jason Wilcox has won things. Dan Ashworth has never won anything. So I think Omar Barada is going to be huge for us. And he's going to probably head negotiations for a while until he grooms someone to do them, because the CEO shouldn't be heading negotiations. But I think for the first while, I wouldn't be surprised if he's the one heading negotiations until someone else is groomed to do that in the style that he does it, in the style he wants it done, I should say. And I'm super excited about it. And now I want to talk a little bit about possible targets we've heard of. So we've heard of Gelson Bremer from Juventus. Do I like him? Do you like him? He's big. He's strong. He can run, not super fast, but I mean, he can run. I guess the best thing I can say about him is he's big and strong. Can he pass? Not a lot, but yeah, not. If he's wide open, he can swing it all the way over there. Like, he's not somebody who's going to be fancy with the ball. He's just going to do his job, clean it up, do the dirty work, give it, and then maybe give it to Martinez, let Martinez do most of the passing, the harder passing. Do I like the idea of Gelson Bremer? Well, he's 40 million buyout clause. I think that's what we've heard. 40 million euro buyout clause makes him really worth the price. Yeah, I can't say he's not worth 40 million. So he might be a bargain, and maybe that's what we need. Maybe we can't go after the Jared Branthwaites right now because we can't be spending 70 or 80 million on a center back, especially a young one who's not that proven. I mean, Jared Branthwaite at 60 million, I would say go for it. But 75, 80 depends on our budget. Is that going to stop us from getting the other 5 positions? Remember, when we started this video today, we said we need 6 positions filled. Is going after Jared Branthwaite for 75, 80 million going to mean that we only get 5 of those 6 filled? If it does, then no, we can't. Those 6 positions need to be filled, or else top 4 next season is going to be a struggle. If Casemiro and Varane leave like we think they are, if those 6 positions don't get filled, top 4 is going to be struggle. We're going to be right back to where we are now, 6th place. Fighting. No. Especially if we're going to be in the Europa League next season, which we might be if we're not in the Champions League. If we're in the Europa League next season, we're going to need all these players. Like, we're going to have a lot of games. We need 6 players. So, Jared Branthwaite, I don't know about. Todibo and Bremer, how would you guys feel if those were the 2 center backs? Todibo and Bremer. Todibo should be an easy deal, right? Because they're Nice. We're probably going to pay 40, 45 million and get them off Nice. That's a fair price. So Todibo and Bremer, 40 each, 45 for one, 40 for the other. Fair prices. And then I've heard or read about the two youngsters, two young defenders, Aaron Anselmino from Boca Juniors and the 19-year-old Mikhail Fay from Barcelona, which we are thinking about purchasing and loaning to Nice. I think this is fantastic, right? If we're going to buy like future stars and their teenage years and then loan them to Nice where they can get first team experience in Europe, and the way Nice are playing, maybe even Europa League or Champions League experience, that's really good. That's awesome. That's really good. I'm actually excited. I'm going to start watching Nice games. I'm pretty sure you guys are too. If we start loaning 2-3 players to them every season, you're going to start watching Nice games because those are your future Manchester United players playing over there. That would be cool. And then the Joao Neves stuff. I love this kid. I already said it earlier. I absolutely love Joao Neves. I think he would really help us. But again, 100 million, I don't know. I don't know if we have it. If we have it, we should totally do it. And if we can do that, and he's our expensive buy, not Jared Branthwaite. If our expensive buy is Joao Neves and we still fill all 6 positions, I would be all for it. That's the right kind of expensive buy. Even the backup forward shouldn't be expensive. The backup forward should be somebody that can come in and, play, I don't know, like the cup games. Anytime Højlund needs a rest, the backup forward should come in and be able to play. So he doesn't need to be more than 25 to 45 million. Just doesn't need to be an 80 million pound forward for what? We don't need it. But an 80 million pound center midfielder who can throw his weight around and get, win the ball back. I'd like him more than Onana, even though Onana brings in height that we desperately need. We are a small team in all, except for our center backs. We are a small team and we do need height, but Onana is not. I don't know. I don't know if Onana's the answer to our midfield, but again, he might be 35, 40 million, which might be the reason why we go for him instead of paying 80 or 90 for Joao Neves. And if we do go for Onana for 35 or 40 million, I won't be upset because he's better than what we have. I would take that. What do you guys think? Would you take Onana for 35 or 40 million if we can't spend any more than that? Is that okay, or do you have someone else in mind? Joao Gomez from Wolves. Would you take him instead? I'd probably go with Gomez instead. I would. But I wouldn't be too upset with Onana. I don't think there's much difference. And Onana, again, brings us height that we might need. But Gomez brings us legs that we definitely need too. We need players who are not going to get lazy. We need players who are going to run the whole time. And I mean the whole... I'm so sick of watching these players who don't run. We want players that are going to work for 90 minutes straight. Be drenched in sweat when the game is done. Okay. I can't think of anything else, and I've run on pretty long. Thank you very much for joining me one more time. Please leave a like or subscribe if you are watching these videos. It lets me know that I'm doing okay and you guys actually like these. And I am going to try my best to do 2 or 3 videos a week moving forward. All right. See you next time. Bye.